Good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of philosophy, and we are discussing regarding the Kant's philosophy. In last lecture, we started discussing about the second chapter from the Jetty Kant, that is the highest ideal of cure. And he tried to explain exactly what Hahnemann wants to tell in that specific aphorism. Whatever Hahnemann have written is nothing but the deductions which he got after a lot of experimentation, and those deductions written in a very typical comprehensible manner in a short aphorism, short paragraphs, but it carries a very marked meaning, and that's why Kent has given or delivered his lectures in front of the PG students, and those are here we are discussing. So in the second aphorism, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann defines highest ideal of cure is the rapid, gentle, permanent restoration of health or removal or annihilation of the disease in its whole extent, in most shortest, most reliable, and most harmless way on easily comprehensible principle. And Kant says, out of which there are 3 points which one must understand. Out of which first point which he has discussed in detail is restoration of health. So concept of health, which is very important already, which he has discussed in earlier chapter while discussing the sick, and the health is nothing but that specific entity where mind, body, and soul runs in a perfect harmony with the help of the vital force to which we label by the name of healthy state. We have to bring this health. This is what he wants about it, and that's why cure. You cannot call it cure unless and until you bring back this original state of health. So that point he has elaborated. So just removing the symptom or removing that specific external manifestation is not the cure. You have to bring back that patient again into the state of health. Second point, which he has elaborated over there, the three important things. The cure should be promptly. The cure should be without any trouble, mildly and permanently. And these are three important words which he has highlighted over there, and which never happens when you treat with the old school treatment. All old school treatments, they are aimed at specifically at the local level, and when you treat them locally, it only just palliates the thing. For time being, patient feels well and good, but when the action of the medicine vanishes, the original state reappears and it starts appearing, producing its own presentation over there. And it goes on increasing internally. Many a times it happens that it shifts from the local place to somewhere inside and produces the complaints. So even though it looks that after surgical measure, patient feels immediately better, but it is not a betterness. It is just a palliation, and then disease turns inside. So these are very important things which he tried to explain over there. We have finished that aspect which he has explained over there regarding this. We have finished the paragraph of the perfection of cure consists. That paragraph we have finished in detail. Let us go with the next paragraph. The manner of cure can only be mild if it flows in the stream of natural directions, establishing order and thereby removing the disease. The direction of the old-fashioned medicine is like pulling a cat up a hill by a tail. He compares it very nicely. The direction of old-fashioned medicine is like pulling a cat up a hill by the tail, whereas the treatment that is mild, gentle, and permanent flows with the stream, scarcely producing a ripple. Ripple means tarangacha manjur dhvani. It is just a mild sound, which is very digestible to the ears. It adjusts the internal disorder, and the outermost of the man returns to the order. So this is what is a mild, without causing any harm to the patient, without causing any trouble to the patient. Whenever cure has to happen, it starts right from center and gradually all manifestations disappear without knowing to the patient. Yes, they are disappearing without causing any trouble to the patient. And that type of cure Hahnemann expects whenever we use the homeopathic medicine. Everything becomes orderly from the interior. So it starts from interior to exterior, from the organs of greater importance to the organs of lesser importance, from above downward, from center to periphery. This is very important. The order is very important. It happens like that is what is called as Hering's law of direction of cure. That is, it is in the reverse order of appearance of the symptom. The curative medicine does not act violently upon the economy, but establishes its action in a mild manner. But while the action is mild and gentle, very often that which follows, which is the reaction, is turmoil, especially when the work of traditional medicine is being undone and former states are being re-established. So, whenever we prescribe homeopathic medicine, it follows that specific order. So, for example, a patient who is suffering from some asthmatic trouble or some rheumatism, and for which we have found out a very perfect medicine, and we have prescribed it internally, not locally. What happens? If this rheumatism or this asthma is the product of suppressed skin eruption, which has happened early, then after giving your right remedy, then it starts appearing again without causing any trouble to the patient. And it brings back the disease onto the surface, removing the original problematic disease, either asthma or rheumatism, and it follows the order. This following on an order is very important, and it never troubles. Your medicines will not cause any harm. It is not like a painkiller. Yes, patient feels better, pain vanishes with the painkiller, but it causes more severe internal burning. So such a thing never happens over there. And this is what he wants to explain over there. It should be in a milder manner without causing any harm to the patient. At the same time, it follows the specific order, the Hering's law of direction of cure. So this completes the second point which he has mentioned over there, that it is promptly, mildly, and permanently. And now he turns towards the third point, which he has taken from the ideal cure, and what he says. The third point is upon principles that are at once plain and intelligible. So last 3 points on easily comprehensible principles. What do you mean by comprehensible? Comprehensible means anyone can understand. Those types of principles are there, the 7 cardinal principles, and one must know them in a sequence because they developed in the similar manner. First was the law of similars. Then Hahnemann developed the law of simplex, then the law of minimum dose, then the doctrine of vital force, then the doctrine of drug proving, then the doctrine of drug dynamization, and lastly the doctrine of chronic diseases. All those 7 cardinal principles should be followed by your prescription. So the cure should be according to the principles. It should not be just on the speculation, not on the thoughts. It is not like my opinion is to give the Naxomica. My opinion is not there because case is showing these are the symptoms of the case. These symptoms fits to the Naxomica, and that's why I'm giving Naxomica. The reasoning is there because we are following law of similars over there. Then we follow the law of simplex. We give single medicine. We follow the third law of simplex, law of minimum dose. Then according to that specific case, we judge the susceptibility, finds it out remedy, and finds it out the potency. It might be 30 for one patient, it might be 200 for another patient, it might be 1M. It varies from person to person, and that's why law of minimum dose, which has been defined by Hahnemann, was very important. He says that the dose should be so minimum so as to arouse the vitality in an individual. So there is not a fixed entity. The dose should be so minimum so as to arouse the vitality in a diseased individual. It's called as a law of minimum dose in homeopathy. And you cannot predict it is same for each and every patient. It varies from one person to the another person. And this is what he explains over there. The third point is upon the principles that are at once explained, at once plain and intelligible. This means law. It means fixed principles. It means a law as certain as gravitation. not a guesswork, not an empiricism. प्रायोगिक तत्वावर म्हणजे ट्रायल अँड एरर बेसिसवर, on or roundabout methods, or a cut and dried use of drugs as laid down by the last manufacturer. So cure is not like that. Just I feel and then I have prescribed. This is not I feel. This is what, because it follows the principles. This is very important. Our principles have never changed. They cannot change. They have always been same and will remain the same. See, very important. They are always be the same and will remain same. They were never going to change. To become acquainted with these principles and doctrines with fixed knowledge, with exactitude and or method, to become acquainted with medicines that never change their properties, and to become acquainted with their action, is the all important aim in homeopathic study. So these principles, 7 cardinal principles, should be very fixedly understood in our mind. When we learn them by heart, then we can utilize them in a patient properly. One must know them properly so that they can apply. If you don't know, you cannot apply. This is too important thing. When one has learned these principles and continues to practice them, they grow brighter and stronger. See, what he says is very important, and this is the reality. When one has learned these principles and continued to practice them, they grow brighter and stronger. The use of these fixed principles is the removal of the disease, the restoration of health restoration to the health in a mild, prompt, and permanent manner. So this is the aim. This is the specific use of these principles, to bring back again the state of health in a very fast manner, in the most shortest, most reliable, and most harmless way. This is what he says. So, all those principles everyone must know. And if you know them, then you can discuss with the others. Then you can discuss with the layman. Then you can discuss with the doctors of other pathies. If one were to ask an allopathic graduate in this class how he could demonstrate that he had cured somebody, the answer could only be such as I have mentioned earlier already, vice versa, that the patient did not die, or that the manifestations prescribed for had disappeared. If one were to ask a physician trained in homeopathic principles the same question, one would find that there are means of distinctly demonstrating why he knows his patient is better. You would naturally expect, if it is the interior of the man that is disorder in sickness and not his tissues primarily, that the interior must first be turned into order and the exterior last. The first of man is his voluntary, and second of man is his understanding. The last of man is his outermost. From his center to his circumstance, to his organs, to his skin, to the hairs, to the nails, etc. See, what nice manner he is explaining the concept. If you ask the question, how your patient has cured to the allopath, he never knows because he has not followed in principle. He explains, yes, it might be because he has not died. It might be because of any reason, but patient has cured. But once you ask this question to a homeopath, he knows the principle. He knows I have applied the law of similars. I have applied it in a proper potency. Then it has worked at the center. It has worked in his inner concern. And it has worked at his will and understanding. And automatically the disorder which happened at that level came to the order, and its reflection happens to be there on the exterior, that is at the physical level. So orders develop at the center and ultimately reflected at the periphery. And this is what he wants to explain regarding the homeopathic understanding of this cure. This being true, the cure must proceed from center to circumference. From center to circumference is from above downwards, from the within outwards, from the more important to the less important organs, from the head to the hands and feet. Every homeopathic practitioner who understands the art of healing knows that symptoms which go up in these directions remain always permanently. So you can predict, yes, whether the patient is going in the right direction or wrong direction, because you have to follow you just this law and just check whether your patient is in a patient, whether patient's cure is going in right direction or wrong direction. You have to just think about it on the basis of this law, this which is called as Hering's law of direction of cure. If it has been followed, then definitely your patient is on the path of cure. If it has been not followed, it is in the reverse order, then in the reverse order, means from periphery to center, then definitely your remedy is wrong. Then you have to think again. Maybe you have to antidote. Maybe you have to wait for some time and find new remedy. All those things. Moreover, he knows that symptoms which disappear in the reverse order of their coming are removed permanently. It is thus he knows that the patient did not merely get well in spite of the treatment, but that he was cured by the action of remedy. So it is not just an coincidence. It is because remedy is very perfect. It has acted at the center, it has acted at the core, and that's why the patient is cured. And homeopath knows that. This is very important. If a homeopathic physician goes to the bedside of the patient and upon observing the onset of symptoms and the course of disease, sees that the symptoms do not follow this order after his remedy, he knows that he has had but little to do with the course of the thing. So he understands exactly how the patient has developed the symptom. How, what is the ODP, origin, duration, and progress? How, so homeopath whenever goes to the patient, bedside of the patient, and he observes whole case, he writes it down in a proper manner, all symptoms in order, and then he gives the remedy and sees that symptoms do not follow whether this order after his remedy or whether he is following the order. He knows that he has had but little to do with the course of things if it is going in wrong direction. So this law is a very, very essential law one must know and one must follow in their practice. And then what he says, but if on the contrary, he observes after administration of his medicine that the symptoms takes a reverse course, then he knows that his medicine he had to do with it. Because if the disease were allowed to run its course, such a result would not take place. The progression of chronic disease is from surface to center. All chronic diseases have their first manifestation upon the surface, and from that to the innermost of the man. Now, in the proportion in which they are thrown back upon the surface, it is to be seen that the patient is recovering. And this is too important. You have to, when you are dealing with internal pathologies and you are giving right remedy right to the patient, and if this comes on the surface, let it appear. And it happens. I have seen it a number of times. Just now, I'm treating a case of cancer where there is a full of metastasis is there, and this patient, where absolutely a hole is there over there because of the cancer, and already the operation was done. The CA tongue and half of the tongue is removed, and he had very big swelling, and there was a flap which was applied, but that also vanished, and that fellow came for the treatment for homeopathy, and we have started treatment. And after starting treatment, he was able to swallow, he is able to eat properly now, and his eczema on both lower extremity is increasing. And he's asking, I want remedy for that. I said, let it appear. He said that I have treated it earlier with one skin specialist. I asked when it has been treated. He said 3 4 years back. And when you have cancer, he said is in last year. See, the suppressed skin eruption led to him directly a cancer of tongue. I said this is the direction with which it will appear. You have to bear with this. What do you want? Whether you want cancer or whether you want eczema first. He said eczema. Then wait for some time. because it is the right direction in which it is going on. I explained to him exactly that now you are able to eat, which was not possible earlier. Now you are able to swallow, which was not earlier possible earlier. But now this is happening. It means you are on the path of cure, bringing back again the disease to the surface and let it appear over there. So what he says is very perfect. The progression of chronic disease is from surface to center. All chronic diseases have their first manifestation upon surface and from that to innermost of man. Now in the proportion in which they are thrown back upon surface, it is to be seen the patient is recovering. Here it is that the turmoil spoken of above follows the true homeopathic remedy. And to the ignorant, do not desire their old outward symptom to brought back even when it is known as the only possible form of cure. Complaints of heart, complaints of heart and chest and head must in recovery by accompanied by manifestations upon the surface, in the extremities, upon the skin, upon the nail and hair. So this happens many times. You start treating the internal disorders, and it comes again to the surface, and people never like that. But you have to warn the patient that if it comes, don't apply any ointment, anything. Do come to me. This happens many times in your practice, and you have to explain all those things. And what he says, hence you will find that these parts become diseased when patients are getting well. The hair falls out or eruptions comes upon skin. In cases of rheumatism of the heart, you find if the patient is recovering, that his knees become rheumatic. He may say, Doctor, I could walk all over the house when you first came to me, but now I cannot walk. My joints are so swollen. That means recovery. So if the patient of rheumatic heart disease is there, so directly a case of rheumatic heart disease and his heart is at fault, and there might be chance that if anything happens with the heart, he may die. So you have selected a remedy. There are two important remedies in which directly a rheumatic heart disease is written. Anyone knows out of you? Any idea? First sentence only defines as rheumatic heart disease. This is a remedy for rheumatic heart disease. From the Borix Mater Medica. Very important. There are two remedies. One is Calmia latiafolia. And second, it has been written lithium carb. Just the first sentence of it defines as rheumatic heart disease. Third remedy, which is also there, is Naja tripudans, valvular heart diseases after rheumatism. If you choose right remedy for the patient and patient's heart becomes normal and now he develops rheumatism, is it a good sign or bad sign? What do you feel? Is it a good or bad?
Good, good sign, sir.
It is a good sign because now disease is taking in reverse order. It has shifted from rheumatism to the heart. So now you are coming from most important organ to the lesser important organ. So he might suffer during that period. So patient talks, doctor, I could walk all over the house when you first came to me, but now I cannot walk. My joints are so swollen. That means recovery. If the doctor does not know that means recovery. He will make a prescription that will drive the rheumatism away from the feet and knees, and it will go back to the heart, and patient will die. And if need, hardly be stated that the traditional doctor does not know this, as he resorts to this plan as his regular and only plan of treatment, and in the most innocent way kills the patient. Very important thing which he has mentioned. Because of this, you are killing the patient. You are removing disease from the external part to the internal part to the very important great organ, and patient may die. This is a simple illustration how it is possible for the interiors of the man to cease to be affected and the exteriors to become affected. It may be impossible for man to be entirely cured. It may be impossible for the state to pass off, but this is the direction of its passing off, and there is no other course. So this is the way it will go. Once you start treating the vital organs, it will definitely come to a less vital organ, then to the surface. And this path is very important path. I have seen it many times. I have explained to you earlier also. I have seen that one of elder man who used to come to me towards my father for taking the insulin daily. So when I came to Sangamner, instead of father, I was giving him insulin at that time daily. Daily he used to come morning and evening. He developed eczema on his hand. He was a patient of myocardial infarction. He was a patient of diabetes and all those whatnot. And he developed eczema. So I asked him, he asked me, doctor, please give me some ointment. I want to remove this. I said, let it appear. He said, no, no, it never, it itches a lot. I don't like that. What people will thought about me. I said, because of this, you are normal. But he was not listening. Next day, next Saturday, there was one skin specialist used to visit Sangamner at that time. There were no skin specialists during that time. And then he has shown it to him. He has prescribed local topicazone ointment with antibiotic, and then he came to the morning and he shown it. See, this has disappeared. I said, very good. I have seen by skin specialist and he treated. And in the evening he got the myocardial infarction attack. This is how it works. So this is very important. One must know this. To him, it may not appear mild, but that the means that were used were mild. In acute diseases, we do not observe so much of distress after prescribing in acute diseases, we do not observe so much of distress after prescribing as we see in old incurable cases. In deep-seated chronic complaints that have been existed long time, the return of old outward manifestations upon the extremities are noticed in such cases where they have been suppressed. So this is not this you generally never observe in acutes, but definitely in chronics. And this you must be very careful and watchful. To illustrate, there are many patients who have had rheumatism in hands and feet, in the wrists and knees and elbows, who have been rubbed and stimulated with lotions and strong liniments, with chloroform, with evaporating lotions, with cooling applications, until the rheumatism of extremities has disappeared to a great extent. But every physician knows that as the disappearance of this rheumatism progresses, cardiac symptoms are likely to occur. When this patient prescribed for the rheumatism of the extremities must come back or the heart will not be reviewed. That is true of every condition that has been upon the extremities and driven in by local treatment. Just as surely as you live and observe the action of homeopathic remedies upon man, so surely you will see these symptoms come back. The patient will return and say, Doctor, I have the same symptoms that I had when I was treated by Doctor so and so for rheumatism. This comes out in practice nearly every day. And this is what the Kent's experience is, and this is what my experience is. This happens many times that disease disappears in this reverse order and it comes to the surface and from the greater important organ to a lesser important organ. And if patient comes complaining of this, just observe and find it out and just tell him whatever is happening is very good. Many a times you have to give the placebos and you have to ask the patient just bear it till it comes out completely, saves your vital organ, and then you can treat and remove that disease internally. So we'll stop over here and then tomorrow not tomorrow. Now we'll meet directly on Tuesday. It is not possible tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday, Sunday. I have a seminar at Sangli, and on Monday also I was there in Sangli and Jaisinghpur. So it is not possible to deliver a lecture. So we'll meet directly on Tuesday. Till I ask all of you to go through this lectures again and again so that you can understand the principles which are explained by J.T. Kent in a simpler manner. His language is very lucid and one can listen and understand and read very easily. Second important thing, today we're going to meet at night 9:30 with Materia Medica. Aspect is today's remedy is Arnica montana. Again, looks very similar, very simple, but I will going to share few important cases where something is special for Arnica and which with which we never look towards the Arnica. So we're going to learn different aspect of Arnica in today's sessions from Allen's notes only. So be there, ask your friends to join, and we'll have a good chat about the Arnica in today's evening session. If any queries are there, we can have a chat, otherwise we'll conclude. Any question? Sir, please share your experience including chronic, especially irreversible change. Example, CRF, chronic renal failure. Okay. Yes, anything else? Nikita, I will going to share the cases definitely, no problem. Class at 9:30.
Sir,
Yes, Utpal.
sir, sir, your seminar will be live, sir.
I'm not getting your voice clearly.
Sir, seminar. That seminar you are going to conduct on Monday, Sunday.
No,
So
no,
it will be live on
no,
Zoom or YouTube like that.
no. It will be just
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
it is not on live seminar. Okay. So Nikita, I will going to share cases regarding CRF. Yes, definitely. So thank you being there. We'll meet again at 9:30.